What's up, Met fans? Welcome back to the channel as we got reports coming out that the Mets could be close to signing Framber Valdez. There is a report that the Mets are the favorites to land Framber Valdez, and I know that's kind of not what the Met fans wanted. There was a lot of issues with Framber Valdez last year. Obviously, what he did to his catcher, crossing up his catcher, but he is a guy you bring in when you have a guy like Nolan McLean. Why is that? If the Mets and also Met fans expect Nolan McLean to be a top starting pitcher, hopefully starting in 2026, then you also need protection in this rotation. And Framber Valdez does that. Number one, he throws a ton of innings. He goes deep into games. He's a big time pitcher, a ton of experience in the postseason. He's a stopper, which the Mets clearly did not have last year. And he's just a little bit of protection, just in case Nolan McLean hits a little, wall in the early parts of the season. And you got this ace and this top line starter who's been there, done that at the top of your rotation. Now, I don't believe that signing Framber Valdez is going to stop the Mets for still trading for Tariq Skubal. That is a strong possibility as well. And or a Freddie Peralta or somebody else that is another top three starter. The Mets are looking to land two top starting pitchers. That is what we've heard from the very beginning of the offseason. The New York Mets are going to get two top starters. That has been reported multiple times. Nobody has wavered from that. And it's just a matter of what the Mets are going to do. If you sign Framber Valdez, and it's going to be less than what Dylan Cease got, the 7 years, $200 million, he's not getting that. He's 31 years old, going on 32. He's probably going to get a 4-year deal, maybe 5-year deal, close to $200 million, probably around 170 something. That is what he's going to get because of his age. Coming on 32 years old, again, he's not old. He's in his prime. He's probably got 3 really, really, really good years left. And you worry about the back end of that contract when that back end of the contract comes. I don't want to hear Met fans talking about this guy saying, oh, well, he's a problem in the clubhouse. Well, was he in a problem in the clubhouse when he was winning playoff games for them, winning World Series games for them, being one of their best pitchers in postseasons? No, nobody cared. You know what? I don't care either. I know he's a good pitcher. God forbid our pitchers actually go deep into games. He does that. He'll give you 175 to 195 innings. That is not a question. That is a fact. Look at those stats. He had 2 complete games this year. How many Mets had complete games this year? This guy is a workhorse. This guy is a damn good pitcher. And you could do a lot worse. And all you got to give up is money. That is it, Mets fans. All you got to do is give up money for Framber Valdez. And you still got all your assets in the prospect pool to make another trade for, again, Freddie Peralta, Tariq Skubal. Why can't we get Tariq Skubal? We got the prospects. We can hand over the prospects tomorrow for Tariq Skubal. Just imagine a rotation of Tariq Skubal, Framber Valdez, Nolan McLean as your number 3 starter. And then your 4, 5, and possibly 6 starter can be anyone from Clay Holmes, David Peterson, maybe a Brandon Sproat, maybe possibly Christian Scott, who's coming back from injury. A lot of options there. What that does is give you a tremendous amount of depth in your rotation. It makes your rotation even deeper because Nolan McLean is your 3rd starter. That is a strong possibility. If the reports are true that have been all offseason, that the New York Mets are going after 2 top starting pitchers, this is the way to go about it. Pay for one and trade for one. Yes, Tariq Skubal is a rental. Stop worrying about that. You know what I care about? He'll be wearing a New York Mets uniform in 2026. He will give you the best chance to win. The hell with 2027. We don't know if 2027 is even going to take place because of the CBA situation. The New York Mets need to solidify their rotation. There is nothing else that matters for the New York Mets right now than actually find competent starting pitching. competent starting the competent starting pitching the Mets did not have in 2025 was the direct cause of the early half season of the bullpen falling apart with injuries and being overworked. And then when they had to make all those moves for the bullpen, they forgot about the starting pitching in that market. And it ultimately cost them. The New York Mets need to solidify their starting pitching. They have the assets. They have the money. There is no excuse to have Framber Valdez sign on that dotted line. There is no excuse to make a trade for a Freddie Peralta or a Tariq Skubal or a Sandy Alcantara. This is what the Mets need to do. And if David Stearns pulls this off, he is going directly against his plan of not paying starting pitchers over the age of 30. You know why? Because sometimes your plans need to deviate a little bit, Mets fans. And this is where he needs to do it. Framber Valdez is a workhorse. He's an ace. He's a top starter. And I'm not telling you that he's going to be good in year 5 of that contract or even 4 of that contract. Maybe possibly 6 of that contract, which I don't think the Mets are going to go 6 years on Framber Valdez. Maybe they'll go 5 and an option for the 6th year. But I'm pretty confident that in that first 3 years of that contract, he's going to be one of your best starters. And you know what? Even if he takes a step back a little bit, if you get a Tariq Skubal, if you get a Peralta or a Sandy Alcantara, you got another co-ace. And if Nolan McLean takes that next step, well, you don't need Framber Valdez to be the big boy in this rotation. There's other guys there to do that. That is where the New York Mets need to focus on and make sure it happens. The reports are that it could be a 5-6 year deal. I still think the Mets will go 5 with an option for a 6th. And that's where I think the Mets will land if they do. But the reports are the Mets are the favorites to land Framber Valdez. That is something that kind of shifted considering the fact that nobody thought the Mets would go get Framber Valdez. Only because of his age. With David Stearns, don't like paying guys over 30. And what C. Scott, you would think that Framber Valdez has no chance. But the Mets like him. Stearns does have a relationship with the Astros. Obviously, he was part of the Astros before the Brewers. He knows that organization well. He was in that organization when Framber Valdez was probably very young. This is a guy that you get. It's hard to hate this move if it happens. And I think it's going to happen. There's smoke coming out of nowhere. Right after the Thanksgiving holiday, boom, we're getting reports about Framber Valdez, which we heard nothing of the sort 2 days prior. So are the Mets going to get Framber Valdez? In my opinion, yes. If you're a Mets fan that can complain about this, I'm going to ask you, do you want to win? Because there's too many Mets fans that complain way too much when it comes to certain guys. There's nobody better than Framber Valdez in this rotation. That's a fact. You bring him aboard because he will be, at that current moment of signing that deal, the best pitcher in your rotation. That's why you make that deal. There is nobody better or probably close at this point better than Framber Valdez, even at the age of 32. So let me know in the comments, guys, what you think of the possibility of signing Framber Valdez and the Mets being the heavy favorite to land Framber Valdez for possibly a deal between 4 and 6 years. What are your thoughts, guys? I want to thank you for watching. And as always, Met fans, let's go Mets.